It's Monday. I've got my coffee with me. I'm tired, but I thought it would be cool. I thought it'd be cool if we could do a co-founder coffee chat for Trendful.
Yeah, that's really cool. The coffee is for the fatigue as well. And I have mine, my daily mocha with a straw because I'm a kid and I need one.
Is it an iced mocha too?
Yeah, iced mocha, fancy, made by my husband.
I nice. I always have just a shot of espresso.
You're classier. I'm the kid one.
No, I always consider my husband and I, Emmerich, we always say mocha is the gateway drug into coffee. So you're just gonna get onto harder things now. After
Yeah,
mocha, it's all downhill.
it's going downhill. Can definitely say it is.
So, I thought with this co-founder coffee chat, video series, we could talk about different things like with resale, with our software. And today, I thought we could talk about how resale is booming like crazy and more brands and more customers and more innovation than ever before.
Yeah, I love talking about resale and the future of resale. I think it's gonna be so amazing that I love going into those topics.
Yeah, and I think today you mentioned the future of resale. I think it could be great to first think about what we think the future of resale is going to be and how is Trendful software going to position itself to help create that future. And I think here, sorry, I'm losing my voice. I think here we think that the future of resale is going to be that selling or even recycling your pre-owned products will be as simple as, pointing your phone or, the VR glasses at an item and then having instant insights into the pricing of that item and where you could sell that item or recycle that item.
Yeah, that's this idea to me is so exciting, and that's actually like what we are working towards. Knowing the value of your item and resell them or recycle them is gonna be so quick and easy. Like we have an API where you can search for a product via text or an image and get pricing information for it on the resale market. So you know the pricing information based on the condition, and the idea is that in the future, anyone will take their phone, snap a picture of any product, and get the pricing information they need, click on resell or recycle right away. So it's like going to be a whole different way of purchasing and reselling things.
Yeah, I find that so amazing because in the past resale has always been kind of difficult for the consumer and then also the merchant that is getting the item from the consumer. It's never been very a straightforward and easy route. And so it's great to think that with the industry booming so much that there's going to be all of this technology and software that's going to just help facilitate that transaction because in the past people didn't think of consumers selling to merchants as really an established transaction model and everything.
Yeah, it just needs to become as normal as it is to purchase something new. And it needs to become on like part of our day-to-day lives. And it's like you will get most of the value of anything that you buy from just reselling it to a merchant. And the idea that trend with how many data we have scraped and where we are going towards with being able to price any type of object is that consumers and merchants, it's going to be so easy for them to complete a transaction between them.
Yeah, keeping in mind what we think our vision of the future where it's going to be seamless for you to sell or recycle. What do you see I know we've talked about this, but what do you see as the most challenging aspects that merchants or people getting into reselling face in today's world?
Yeah, definitely the pricing part is the most challenging part of a resale transaction for merchant after talking to a lot of merchants, but also a lot of different players of the resale markets. You have the merchants, the wholesalers, the authenticators, all of them agree on the fact that pricing an item is hard. And when you think about it, pre-owned item is one of a kind item. You have so many different types of objects. It can be clothing, shoes, handbags, a laptop, a piece of furniture, very different kind of items, and unique because it's a unique condition. It has been used already. And so you need the power behind it. So there is no hustle for the consumer or for the merchants to know the value of the item.
Yeah, I know, like, even from like our perspective, since we initially started Trendful as a resale company before we moved to software, pricing the items was something like that was the most challenging aspect because you don't want to price too low, you don't want to price too high, you want to have enough like margin if you're doing consignment or if you're doing buyout, and you have to like have all of those insights. And it's kind of, I think, impossible for an individual to have that without some sort of like pricing software support.
Yeah, it's so hard. Right now, most of the merchants, what they do is that they go on Google Shopping and they will try to find the item specifically that they're trying to sell. So one of a kind item, they're gonna try to find data for it and collect enough data points to find a price. But one of the challenge of that is finding the item online. Sometimes you don't know the name of it, or sometimes it's not being actively listed on the websites you're looking into at that moment. So you're not gonna find the data. You need historical data as well. And then have enough price points to be confident into your pricing decision. And that's kind of what Trendful is already helping merchants to do, is that we have that price database where they can, via text or via an image, search for a product reference. Right now it's handbags or watches, and get a wealth of pricing information on it. And so they access historic data. So they don't need to go through that hustle anymore.
Yeah, I know, like, also when I worked for like auction houses in the past, like we were doing exactly that as well. Like we were going on to like compare, finding comparables online to try to like match to see like, so I have this item and it's sold at this price. Like maybe I can resell it at that same price, but it's like it's not taking into any like trends or like popularity of the item or anything like that. So that's why it's really great that we're working towards making this a simpler aspect of reselling. And it's like, how do we get even closer to that vision of resale in the future where you're just like pointing at an item and getting pricing insight?
Yeah, it's we're definitely working on it. We are like scraping as data every week, millions of data points for handbags and watches, and are leveraging AI actually to be able to expand our catalogs and do it for any kind of items. And the idea is really to like show the name, description, the brand, the model, the style, the size, any attributes that's related to the specific product you are looking into, and give images, popularity trends, a history of all the market estimates of that product as well. But it goes also beyond that. Like we collect data for pricing, but we collect as well search engine data. And so we can give more information to merchants or customer for like how to describe their item, how to best sell it, at what price point they will be able to sell it the fastest, and if they price higher, how much longer it will take to potentially sell. We really want to give a full vision of like how they can resell their product and make it just so seamless that they nothing is on their hand. They just have to click on a few buttons and it's shipped out there.
And like what we're building now, like with the catalog API, that can work for like any type of category, right? Like I know right now we've like expanded into handbags and watches and like some accessories, but like that essentially what we've built can apply to any category.
Yeah, any category of item, really. We started with the niche of handbags and watches. Those are two very popular verticals in the US for resale. But you can do it with electronics and furniture. And the crazy thing is that the logic is always the same. The only thing that changed between handbag and watches or laptop is the attributes of the product. So like it changed the way you search for it, but the way we collect data, we build a catalog, we match the data that we collect online to our catalog, they use all the same logic. So that's
Yeah, I
something
remember
I'm very excited about.
we had like a conversation with a company that bought and resells like electronics like a long time ago. You remember that? He was like, the person was like amazed that the flow of like the consumer first submitting an item to like the process in which to submit was like the same. Like all of the attributes associated with like the item for an electronic was like the same almost for the attributes for like a designer handbag.
Yeah, it can be very similar from like two different categories. And we have built other products, the resale app, actually for customers to go through and resell their item. And so we have tested our theory. Like we know that's like how it works already, and it can make it seamless for any type of industry.
So I think like let's talk a little bit about like I know like this is really amazing for like pricing insights and having like instant pricing for items, which like plays into like our future of resale. But like we also have so much more data that I think you talked about a little bit, like how we can also have like SEO, like search engine data, which can help with like what, like product descriptions, like even like naming of items. And then we also have are able to see like trends, like popularity trends for items. And I think we even talked about how we can even in the future provide like sell-through rates and like how long it takes for like the item when it's first listed to when the item is sold and like how long that takes so that like merchants and like retailers can know like okay if I have these Louis Vuitton items they're going to take this long to sell on the market.
Yeah, especially the resale market and the trends for designer handbags, they change all the time. So you might have an information that as a resale merchant, you took maybe a month to sell a Louis Vuitton Neverfull with a specific inventory. Maybe you had only one Louis Vuitton Neverfull on your website at that time. But then 3 months later, it will be completely different. It might take much longer because you might have an influx of Louis Vuitton on the resale market. Never so obviously the supply has increased. And so the data that we scrape every week from Google Shopping and from specific marketplaces like the Real Rebag and Fashion File, we cover over 300 resale vendors and we scrape data and we keep track of products from a week to another. So usually in our algorithms, when we give you pricing insights, we will base our estimates of sold products. But before they sell, we keep tracking those products. So from week to week, we can see the pricing variation of the product and we can see when it sells. So we make the estimation when it was listed and when it sells, and we can see the timeline that it took at that point in time to sell a Louis Vuitton Neverfull, for example. And obviously, it might depend on the platform because some platforms are more popular than the other. But that's the thing, is like all in our data, we can give you just information and explain to you like how it might work for you when in March you will want to sell a Louis Vuitton Everton.
That's so great. Like I can imagine like if we had had those insights when we first started, like when we started Trendful as a resale company, like that would have been amazing to have like the insight into knowing like this bag we want to get is going to take this long to sell typically on the market. Or like don't buy that bag because that's trending down in popularity. Like that's gonna be like a game changer for merchants to have as well. And then I can see on the other side of it with like consumers being able to have more insight into like how much their item is actually worth because that's such a thing as well when we've heard merchants talk about it how when like consumers go to submit an item to sell to them they think their item is worth so much more sometimes than what it actually is. And so if you have something for consumers to have insight as well, there won't be like this disconnect between the merchants and the consumers because they both want like consumers want to sell their item and merchants want to have their item to for inventory too.
Yeah, it would be an established knowledge that this specific product is worth an amount of money and they will agree faster
It
on
really
the offer.
reminds me of like Kelly's Blue Book. Like I think of this all the time, like Kelly's Blue Book for cars. And like that's kind of the standard that you go to see like how much your car is worth prior to trying to sell it so that like you can know like okay, this car dealership isn't screwing me because I want to sell it. And like you can kind of like gauge, are they ripping me off in price or like are they giving me a good price? And that's kind of like what we want to empower people and merchants with too. Because right now
Yeah,
there isn't any transparency. Like there's no transparency on the market and prices. And there's not even transparency in like naming conventions for items either. So it would be kind of hard for you to point and click at an item and it be able to tell you like, oh, this is a Louis Vuitton never full damier bag, and this is the price that you can resell it.
yeah, that's true. Reselling cars is already like part of our day-to-day lives. Like my car is pre-owned and I might resell it at some point and switch cars. And that should be the same thing for other type of items as well. And it should be as easy as using Kelly's Blue Book.
Yeah. But like hopefully we'll get there with the resale industry and the future of like just being able to point it at an item and have insights into it. I mean already with like the catalog API and like having pricing insight and SEO search engine data, we have we have that started, but I mean we also have the image recognition as well that you've worked on too, which can help identify items with from just a picture or like an image, which is amazing. I feel like I lost you. Hey, I think I lost you for a little there.
Yeah, I had to change spot. My laptop just died. The battery died and I didn't know. So I'm back.
Good. We didn't lose you for too long. So I forget what we were like, what point we were at and what
I
we were
think
saying.
I think we were saying like we really hope that the resale
Oh, I
market is going.
remember. I remember. I was saying like how we have the catalog API that is really going to be used to propel us closer to that vision with like pricing insight and also like search engine description. But we also have worked on image recognition, which I know that kind of goes into like the catalog API, but the catalog API is such like a it's like a term for us. Like it's not it doesn't really always describe like what it entails, but it also includes image recognition, which I know you can talk about a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. The catalog API actually includes what we call Trendful vision. So it's the feature for you, the capability for you to be able to upload a picture and recognize the product reference of your handbag and then in the future of watches and other categories of item. So I mean you are pretty I'm sure everyone is pretty familiar with image recognition. But with Trendful, we will give you a list of products that your item might correspond to and with confidence level. So the first product we return to you is probably going to be highly confident and it's probably going to be actually your product reference. And then we'll give you other items. And that's just such an easy way for you to get access the information about your product. Because sometimes as Jackie was mentioning, the naming convention from a website to another might change. A peer-to-peer platform, usually the naming convention is like all over the place, and people are not specific enough. But resale items and one-of-a-kind items are very, very specific. A designer handbag is very specific. There is the model, the style, the specific size, and the specific condition. It comes like a Neverfull tote comes in so many different styles. Like you have to be specific about the product of the item because the pricing depends on it. And so image recognition comes in play here to help you do that without having to even think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I see so many applications that could utilize the catalog API and get us closer to that vision. of the future that we see for resale.
Yeah, there are so many people that can use it. Can be consumers, can be merchants, as I was mentioning earlier, can be wholesalers. It can be used on your phone. It can be used through AR, goggles. Like it can be used in so many different ways. And that's gonna shape, I'm sure, the future of commerce.
For sure. Well, I hope people have found this like chat helpful, and it would be great to like know if like anyone has other topics you'd like us to cover, if it's about us as the founders or features we've created for Trendful or more about catalog API and like applications that can work for. Yeah, we're open. I think this is a great new like founder chat we can do in a different like format than we've done before.
Yeah, I love doing that. It's like much more casual. And I would love to hear like people say what they think the resale market, what resale is gonna be in the future. I would love to hear it from other people as well.
Yeah, for sure. Great. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.